So let's look at the basic functions. So you'll press your on button there, and you can see a screen appearing with you know, the size. So we're going to have to like share it a little bit like this so you can see what's going on. So you can see a screen appearing, and this is your main row of functions. Now the first ones I'd like to look at are these three. So you've got your font type, your font size, and then your you know, font in terms of like, is it bold or italic, that kind of thing. So you type something like, let's have a look, let's just do hello, why not? I mean, it probably would be happy birthday in our case, because that's something we like to use this machine for. And you can now click on your font type, and you can choose between 6 different fonts. So you've got things like Helsinki, Brussels, Bolivia, Calgary, Berlin, and Venetia. Once you've picked the one you like, you say, okay, let's do Brussels, why not? Next, you can take a look at your font size. Do you want it to have as wide as the ribbon as possible, or medium or small? I quite like the big one, so I'm going to say okay to large, or it's the default setting. And then there's also the italics versus the bold, outlined, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm going to pick italics, I think, just to see. Okay, and those are basically the first 3 basic patterns to kind of play with when you're doing your writing. And then if you want to check what it looks like, you put on the little search function here. You can, you know, scroll across if it's going to be a bit longer. It tells you the length of the auto length of the ribbon, so you know this is going to take 79 millimeters. And then you can, if you want, print. So let's have a go. Why not? You can choose how many copies. I'll do it once. And I'm going to go print. There we go. And then you can see the example for the first 3 features. Isn't that good? Anyway, let's move on and have a look at what the other buttons do. The next button for us to explore is the frames option. So this isn't a button which allows you to, so it's on off at the moment, which allows you to add, well, basically details to your writing, which I think is really quite nice for if you're doing labels, say for the kids' toy box, or if you're doing it for the office. I think it just can add a little bit of something. So I'm going to pick one. Let's see, really there's 61 to choose from. Let's pick that one because it looks quite pretty. Also, I've previously set this to medium, but again, you can experiment. I quite like medium when using frames. You go okay, and then you can do a preview, see that it fits in nicely, and then again print. So if you need several of the same frames, of the same you know, look, then you can obviously do 3 or 4 copies. Then you use a handy cutting tool, and there you have your first frame. Isn't that pretty? I love that. So let's take a look at the next extras this machine has. Although we've got this button yet to explore, I would first like to go down here to this button, which is basically where you get emojis. So you click on it, have a look, and you get 3 different types of choices. So you've got your pictograph, which is where you can pick your emojis, but we'll look at those in just a sec. History is things you've used recently, so that's a really handy little tool to get quicker. And then also the basic ones, things that you're likely to use often. But let's have a look at the pictograph ones, because they are the fun ones. So if you go in there, it's sorted by things like events. So this one's got 17 different patterns. Sorry, you've got 17 categories. So that was the events category. You've got kitchen, you've got food, crafts, baby. Baby's quite a nice one. I love the emojis. I'll show those to you in a minute. The home office is quite handy. Audiovisuals. I mean, there's loads of loads of little things for you to browse and look at. I mean, there really is tons. Amongst the emojis, because they're so popular at the moment, you know, you could have a little face, sad face, kissing face. I'm going to do the smiling one, I think. Fingers up and down, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, and then for example, I can go backwards if I want to have one at the front, and then I'll go back here again, and then you could go, for example, to history and use the smiley face from there, and then you've got it at both ends. And then if you need a space, just add a space, and you know, and then maybe add a space here. There we go. Did it in the wrong place. Backwards, go over one, and add a space. There we go. And then you can have a look at what this looks like. Let's just make sure this is switched off, because I don't want a border. So let's go back to off. If in doubt, you can always preview, which I will do anyway. Off. Okay, so now let's preview there we go, you've got your emoji, it says hello, and you've got the pictures once it's off. So let's print it and have a quick look. I do think it's worth just experimenting a little bit and having a little bit of fun. Oh, look at those. Aren't they cute? So fun. Here we go. Is that good in focus? So those are the emojis.